Welcome to the Getting Started with Deed Reader Pro guide. The first time you run Deed Reader Pro, you will be prompted to register. Enter your name, company, and email address, and then press Request Demo Activation Key. You will be provided a demo activation key that will allow you to try this product for 15 days. Deed Reader Pro will display tooltips when the cursor hovers over buttons, options, and the line types in the call table. Tooltips display helpful text that describe how to use Deed Reader Pro. This option can be disabled from the configuration menu. In the top right corner of the interface are the configuration and information buttons. Let's take a look at the configuration screen. There are options for CAD settings, process settings, units, and the user interface. Now let's look at the info screen. Here you will find buttons to view the user manual, registration screen, and the license agreement. We will now try processing a deed. Press Select Deed File to process. We will open the first example deed included in the installation directory. It will take some time for the optical character recognition engine to read the file. The length of time it takes to read the file depends on the length of the file and the speed of your CPU. Once finished processing, the deed will appear in the deed text and the calls that were extracted will appear in the call table. After the deed is processed, check the closure error. This deed closes within 1/100th of a foot, so all of the bearing and distance calls appear to have been extracted correctly. Press Plot in Deed Reader to generate a plot of the deed. We will now demonstrate how it is possible to pan and zoom the plot. Press the Pan button and hold down the left mouse button to pan. To zoom in, hold down the mouse and drag diagonally up or to the right. To zoom out, drag it diagonally down or to the left. Press the Home button to reset the plot to its original state. Now let's plot this in AutoCAD. Press the Plot in AutoCAD button. You will be prompted to pick the point of beginning. Once chosen, the deed will be plotted with descriptions at the corners and the adjoiners in the middle of the lines. Notice that there is a plus button beside description number 1. This is because there is another meets and bounds description in this document. Press the plus button to view the next description. This deed closes perfectly. We can go back to the first deed in this file by pressing the minus button. Now let's select example deed 2. After this deed is processed, the status message displays an error. Data in the call table is missing. Notice that in call 1, the second and distance fields are empty and the direction is incomplete. The direction and distance cells for the call in row 1 are highlighted red, indicating that required data is missing. We need to correct the deed text so that these fields can be read properly. Let's press View Highlighted Image so we can see the original document with the highlighted calls. The PNG image will open in the default program that Windows associates with PNG files. iFrame is a simple and lightweight photo viewer that works well for this application, and you may wish to set it as the default program for PNG files. This topic is covered in further detail in the manual. First, we will demonstrate correcting the deed by correcting the deed text. This is the preferred method for fixing errors. After the corrections in the deed text have been made, press Process Deed Text to process the deed again. After we make these corrections, the deed closes. The deed can also be corrected by editing data in the call table. Double-click on a cell to edit the values in the cells. Press Enter or Tab once the cell has been edited and the plot enclosure error will instantly be updated. This PDF also has a second deed in it. Let's look at it by pressing the plus button. This description closes and does not need any corrections. You may find it useful to isolate a deed from a PDF or image file using Snipping tool. This is useful if you have an older computer that is slow, if the deed is contained in a very long PDF, or if Deed Reader Pro is not able to correctly isolate the deed you are trying to plot. Snipping tool is included with Windows. To launch Snipping tool, search for Snipping in the search bar and then click on Snipping tool. Click New to create a new snip. Select the portion of text that contains the deed description from your PDF or image. Then save this file and open it in Deed Reader Pro. If you use Snipping Tool, you should maximize the size of the PDF as much as possible before creating the snip. This will increase the resolution of the image. Low-resolution images may cause more errors in text recognition. Example Deed 3 is a Word document and is a fabricated deed that was created to demonstrate some of the advanced features of Deed Reader Pro. These features are discussed in the Deed Reader Pro introduction video. Example Deed 4 is a PNG image with a watermark. PDFs with watermarks behind the text may cause problems with text recognition. Deed Reader Pro has the ability to apply a threshold filter that can remove some watermarks that are a lighter shade of gray than the text of the document. A more advanced AI-powered watermark removal tool is available online at www.watermarkremover.io. It can be used when the threshold filter does not produce good results. If we try to process this deed, many of the calls are not able to be read correctly. For the OCR to work correctly, the watermark needs to be removed. Click the button to open the configuration options. Enable the Remove Watermarks option with the threshold filter set to the lowest setting. The deed will automatically process again, and once again we see that it still does not process correctly. View Image can be used to view an image of the deed with the threshold filter applied. If we do this, we see that the watermark is still not completely removed. Increase the threshold filter one level by clicking the right arrow once. After we do this, we see that the deed processes and closes within 1/100th of a foot and does not contain any errors when we press View Highlighted Image to review it. Example Deed 5 is a PNG image. The last call does not have a bearing. We can calculate a bearing and distance for the last call to force it to close. This is done by right-clicking on a cell in that call and selecting Adjust this call to force closure. After we do this, the deed closes. Notice that there are additional options in the context menu that is accessed by right-clicking the mouse in the call table. There are options to add and delete rows from the call table and to clear the call table in deed text. There are also useful features in the context menu that is accessed from right-clicking in the deed text. There are options to clear the call table and deed text and to set the selected text as the adjoiner or monument description. Lines can be added or deleted from the end of the call table with the keyboard shortcuts of Ctrl+ and Ctrl-. Deeds can be manually typed into the deed text window and then processed. The minimal requirements are that the keywords beginning, thence, and courses need to be included. We will clear the deed text and call table by right-clicking on the call table and selecting this option. Next, we will paste an example into the deed text. The call recognition rules are fully explained in the manual. We recommend that you review these rules to have an understanding of how calls and items in the call table are recognized. Load Ortho Image is used to load an ortho image into your CAD program. GeoTIFF and Mr. SID formats are supported. Images are automatically inserted with the correct scale and origin coordinates. For Mr. SID files, both the SID and SDW file are needed and should have the same name and be located in the same folder. The ability to load ortho images was added so that plotted deeds can easily be overlaid on aerial imagery with state plane coordinates so that surveyors have approximate coordinates to search for monuments in the field. If you have questions or need support, you can post a question on the user forum or email support@deedreaderpro.com.